Minutes past the top of the hour. Our discussion with the two gentlemen begin in a while, in actually about 2 minutes. But first, let's set the stage for our discussion tonight. Do you know a month is gone by since junior secondary school was rolled out, yet there have been no learning or very little progress reported in the public junior secondary schools. And as they continue to struggle, learning in private junior secondary school, however, continues uninterrupted. Shadrach Meti looks at the challenges facing learners in public junior secondary schools.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, sir.
These are grade 7 learners at Area Junior Secondary, a public junior secondary school in Kisumu County. It is a relatively big class which would ordinarily require at least 2 teachers to attend to it at any given time. The latest report from the government indicates that distribution of grade 7 textbooks has covered just about 20 counties.
To date, capitation has not been sent to schools. So the children are suffering. There is no meaningful learning that is taking place. Textbooks have not been sent to schools. So we are asking the government, what is the cause of this delay? And why did they force parents to send their children to school when they were not ready?
We are waiting for the capitation because there are some things we are lacking, like laboratory, library. I'm sure the government is also working hard.
And given not all books have been distributed, it is likely that learners in public junior secondary schools have not had a chance to tackle some of the learning areas due to lack of textbooks. At Xaverian Junior Secondary, another public junior secondary school, the challenge of congestion cannot be overstated. The Teacher Service Commission was supposed to deploy teachers in all public junior secondary schools. And while the process has been ongoing, some schools are yet to receive even a single teacher. Then there is the challenge of laboratories and more classrooms. And although the government has been calling on members of parliament to prioritize building of school infrastructure using the CDF funds, members of parliament are still not yet sure on what to do.
The government needs to set us to disburse NGCDM very fast, so that members of parliament who are partners in education needs to build laboratories. Our single laboratory cost about 2.5 million shillings to completion. So when they delay in disbursing funds, it means a delay in the construction of laboratories across primary schools.
Unlike public schools, most private schools have fully equipped laboratories, music, home science, and art rooms.
Grade 7 is like a baby class. They are learning things which will push them to the next level. Because now from grade 7 going to grade 8, they are supposed to have identified their pathways, which will be confirmed at grade 9. Meaning every day, every hour wasted is actually a wasted future of our children.
Junior secondary requires at least 6 teachers for a smooth and qualified delivery of the curriculum. However, the Teacher Service Commission is only deploying 1 teacher. Recently, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu attributed the delay on the release of capitation to junior secondary schools to failure by school administration to open bank accounts as required, and further suggested that the delayed release of the interim report by the Presidential Working Party on education reforms slowed the process. Shadrach Meti, KTN News.
All right, a good place to begin our discussion tonight. And with me on the round table tonight are two gentlemen versed on these matters education, and not just for a short while, for a long while. Peter Namasaka is the deputy head teacher of the All Kejuado Primary School, a boarding school. He joins us tonight. Thank you so much for coming, Mwalimu. And of course, Akelo Misori, Secretary General of KUPPET, also an educator with vast knowledge. Thank you so much for coming, sir, tonight.
Thank you so much.
And of course, we begin this discussion by painting the picture of exactly what's happening on the ground. That's why I bring Mwalimu Peter. What exactly is happening? Because we're told it's been 30 days. Private schools with junior secondary schools continue the learning, all facilities in place, all books in place. However, public schools such as the one you are in have not begun learning 30 days. Is this a true reflection on the ground? Is this a true picture?
Thank you so much, Mijungu. I just want to confirm that indeed it is exactly 30 days, and we are still facing challenges here and there. Since the start of the whole program of junior secondary school. First of all, the teachers that were deployed in various public schools are very few. Like in my own case, we were sent 2 teachers, and these teachers are supposed to handle the 14 learning areas.
Okay.
So you can imagine how tedious it is. So and we have other numerous challenges pertaining the smooth learning in various public schools. We have the issue of infrastructure that is still glaring and impeding the smooth implementation or learning in our schools. We don't have laboratories.
Okay.
And you know, some learning areas need these laboratories. The teachers that are posted there, they are also not very well trained as far as the CBC is concerned.
Okay.
So these are some of the challenges that are glaring, and they are really impeding the smooth learning in our various schools.
Of interest is you have mentioned that 2 teachers specialized in CBC have been posted to your school.
Yes.
2 to handle 14 subjects.
Yes.
It's impossible. Are these specialized teachers or general teachers?
These are specialized teachers, teachers who are specialized in various areas of learning. One is taking mathematics, physics. Another one is taking history and CRE, which when you look at grade 7, you find that there is no history, there is social studies, there is a CRE, of course, there is mathematics, we don't have physics, although it is infused. So, you see, these are the subjects we really have gone out of our ways of balancing and seeing that learning is going on, because you know you cannot also leave pupils unattended
the whole day.
The whole day they are in school.
So how do you cope with that extra time that they get without the teachers who are specialized?
So what we are doing, we have also made some local arrangement with the teachers who are already in our schools, those who are employed by TSC to teach the primary section. We have virtually shared the subjects just to take care of what the gaps that we're having with the teachers who are not there.
Okay, very interesting. I have so many questions for you, but I'll read the subjects, the 14. English, Kiswahili,
Yes.
that's stroke Kenya Sign Language.
Yes.
That's what it says.
Yes.
Mathematics, integrated science, health education, which should be a specialized subject.
Yes.
Pre-technical, pre-career.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a very technical
Yes, it
subject
is.
that needs specialized
It
training.
is, it is.
Social studies is okay,
Yes.
can be taught. Religious education is okay,
Yes.
can be taught, is not specialized.
Yes.
Business studies can be taught, not specialized.
Yes.
Agriculture can be taught. Life skills education,
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
Yes.
Physical education and sports, and then there are optional subjects,
Yes.
which are 2.
Yes.
Now, close to half of these subjects are specialized,
Yes.
and you have 2 teachers.
Yes.
Paint for me a picture of what's happening in these schools right now.
Before I paint the picture, domiciling the junior secondary school in primary school was the beginning of the disaster experience. Because already, yes, primary school teachers were already prepared up to grade 6. They were not prepared up to grade 7. There are secondary schools which were ready in terms of human resource. They were ready to have the lessons begin in secondary schools. The ministry had already built over 10,000 classrooms in most schools. But the government chose a softer option, and the Presidential Working Party did not help in giving the real situation as it were. Because you realize what my brother Peter is saying, he's painting a very gloomy picture that they are just keeping the mood of our learning situation to proceed.
Okay.
I think that is the most disheartening bit of it, because we knew very well that if the learners went to secondary schools, already there was infrastructure in place. The junior secondary school curriculum was a secondary school curriculum. The teachers in the key areas like languages, the sciences, were already going to be catered for. Even if the workload was going to be heavy, it was not going to be as disadvantageous and challenging
as it is right now,
as it is in primary school.
Yes.
What we have and what is there is that the government, in its preparedness for the transition, took 2 years to build 10,000 classrooms. But the first problem that brother has put here is that there are no laboratories in schools.
Yeah.
Yes, we have got a promissory evidence that the Kenya government is planning through SEPU, Science Project, to avail mobile labs
in schools.
I don't have issues with the provision of that because this is an elementary area. But you already talked about some subjects here like pre-technical courses and pre-career. The junior secondary is basically to lay a very strong foundation for pathways which were envisaged in this new environment.
Yes.
And already 1 month is gone and we are not sure whether the government is going to be ready with the laboratories by June. So we are setting a very weak background for pre-pathways, which you are envisaged. For example, we expect people who are going to do the sciences coming from junior secondary. Those who are to do performing arts in this, those who are going to do the STEM programs, the science and technology from this. So these are the challenges which I think 1 month down the line, you have already mentioned that private schools were ready because they were prepared.
2 years preparation.
They were prepared, they were being told that because of 100% transition, please kindly make available the space. The primary schools were not asked to do the same. If they were asked to do the same, we could have seen some level of preparation. Then lastly, we're talking about the human resource component. We expected a proper synergy from government that the Ministry of Education, the Teacher Service Commission had to work in synergy so that by the time there was a shift in policy that this component, the transition was supposed to be domiciled in primary schools, we expected TAC and the ministry to rationalize the staffing itself, so that we don't have this.
How many teachers would have been needed? Probably 7 to 114 tutu?
In fact, what could have happened is that if the proper mapping was done, then we could have had some teachers in the nearby secondary schools enlisted to be a backup to the primary schools here. We could have also have made the secondary schools ready to give way for grade 7 practical lessons so that they would just walk from the next fence to the other.
Yeah.
I want to take one example. For example, if you are coming from a place like Kisi School, adjacent to Kisi School is another very big primary school. And then Kireri Girls is also there. We would have expected those schools to be ready to accommodate from the primary school to use the science laboratory here. But this is something which has not been done because we lack a very uncoordinated, we have got a very uncoordinated system in the public service where the Ministry of Education is not working in synergy with the Teacher Service Commission.
I went to a school in Migori County called Kadika Primary.
Yes.
Next to Kadika Primary, there was Kadika Girls.
Yes.
And just a few kilometers away, walkable distance, was Migori Boys, right?
Yes, yes.
That would have happened. But tell me, in very short, because I need to go to Mwalimu, what was the rationale for not taking these graders, grade 6, to Form 1 or to secondary school, not to Form 1, but to secondary school, and domiciling them in primary? What was the reasoning behind this?
Two reasoning. One of them was opinion poll which was conducted.
How did you opinion poll?
Opinion poll because they were asked that many parents are saying we don't want them to be in secondary school. And then that is what carried there. And then the other one was basically the political expediency. You know, during the campaign period, the idea of the curriculum was highly politicized to the extent that it was not very easy for the current government to operate when they had not resolved. Remember, in his acceptance speech,
he mentioned it.
The president mentioned it, that this is what we are going to do. But that is what happened. The third factor, which I feel is the Presidential Working Party. That is a group that did not come out to rationalize the thinking of Kenyans. This one was an expert issue, not something to be placed under opinion poll. It was an expert issue. One of the reasons that the many of the people feared is that the children who are in grade 6 were still too young to go to boarding. And you remember, we only have 27% of Kenyan children in boarding schools. Majority of them are in day schools.
People went to boarding school in class 2, class 3.
That is what's happening.
I was in a boarding school with class 1 and nursery. So that is even gloomier than I thought. In fact, from where you sit, I don't see one solid reason why we couldn't take them to secondary school. But let me ask you this. Pardon?
That is the truth. Yeah, the reasoning about the age of the learner going to secondary school and making it to be some domicile in primary school was a very flimsy one and a very pedestrian one.
A better reason would have been, how do class 8s who have gone to done KCP and going to Form 1 be with these class 6 in secondary school? That was a better reasoning which didn't come out, but I think it was. So how bad is this situation to these learners? How badly are we affecting our children in school right now who cannot learn?
Mejungu, thank you so much. You see, education is life. And it is something I think it's supposed to be taken with all the seriousness it needs. Because if it is done haphazardly, then it's going to directly affect the lives of these learners. And we will have ruined the lives of these learners. So it is something that is supposed to be taken with a lot of seriousness. And there must be that a goodwill of even going as far as biting the bullet, facing the bull by its horn, so that we can ensure that our children in school...
But you haven't told me, Mwalimu, how bad is it affecting them?
Yes.
These are children who wake up every day to go to school. Comes like yours is a boarding school.
Yes.
And they're basically having 2 teachers, plus the ones you've incorporated.
Yes.
I'm assuming there's so much hours in between.
Yes.
And they should be learning. It's a continuous process.
Yes.
How are they coping? Do they feel idle in school?
Of course, yes. Of course, they will feel idle, and they do feel idle, by the way, because there is a timetable in school that is slotted various activities to be taken to be taken in a school. And you see, here comes a time whereby pupils are in class and they're expecting a teacher to come, only for that teacher not to surface. You see, it makes them idle. And you see, as young pupils, young children, they will end up engaging in other, even dangerous games, fighting, and you see, jumping up and down. And you see, like in my school, these are boys. And you know how boys, they can sometimes tend to behave naturally, you see. So I think it is something that needs to be acted upon because I want to believe that we have teachers who are trained, who are qualified, still outside. So it's a matter of coming up and looking for ways of ensuring that our schools are well staffed and not only being staffed, but considering the areas, specialized areas, as you put it. Because if you take a mathematics teacher in class to teach CRE or to teach woodwork or metal work, you see,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't add up, actually.
It doesn't work.
It is something, as my brother Misori is putting it, it is something that it needs stakeholders to come together. People who are specialized to come together and really look into this matter and resolute them as fast as possible.
I want to talk about what we can do. But one of the reasons that I have heard, and it has been featured even yesterday, in the Standard and on KTN is the reason why we don't have even books in school is because the government has not paid the publishers. The government owes the publishers 6 billion shillings, 3.2, if I'm not wrong, from supplying books for class 6, and another 3 million for supplying books for class 7. Do you see this SG being resolved anytime soon? Because it's a month gone. We're talking about publishers even distributing the books in school. Forget about infrastructure, laboratories, the mobile ones. This is books. Do you see this being resolved? And from where you sit, what is the antidote?
I think it is simplistic to say that the government owes publishers 6 billion. This program is something which is not an emergency, and therefore
they should have planned.
They should have planned to fix it. I know very well that the supplemented budget has not been passed, but when it comes over, then they should factor in the monies which belong to the publishers, so that the programs of government, especially of education, do not have to be discussed before media. That is one point. Another point is we are not yet late, because this nation suffered the impact of COVID, and for 9 months we did not go to school. Completely. Did not go to school, and there was the challenges of transacting education through the online.
But remember,
yes,
at that time everyone did not go to school.
Everyone did not go to school.
Right now, private are in session.
That is what we are
That's the
saying.
difference.
We cannot give room for commercialization and privatization of education at this moment, when we have got a government in place and we are dealing with the public good. You know, education is not something. We left the education to be controlled by cattle rustlers in this country. We need to come out very boldly to decide. My brother says chewing the bullet. We don't need to chew the bullet. We need to prioritize education, because this is a foundation of everything. If we don't have good education, then even KTN will not function as a news provider in this country, because we love a cake producers and a cake presenters and so on. We must get the quality of Kenyans who are competitive enough anywhere in the world, and who are also ready to face the challenges of the 21st century. What we are having here is a question of priority. And my brother says, chew the bullet. With me, I'm saying, let us prioritize education and look at the animal in the room, education financing. Who is financing education? If that one is solved, then the human resource component will be resolved. The teachers will be brought. A similar number which was employed this year should be given opportunity again immediately, so that the classrooms come, because we can conduct our lessons even under trees. So the key person here is not even the textbook.
It is the teachers.
It is the teacher who is the key person. So that is where the investment must go. And nobody should bring us the bill of 6 billion of publishers. That one can be resolved, because this government cannot run away with your money. You can wait until you will be paid. But the person who is very key here to make sure that education succeeds is the teacher. The teacher is a very key component, and that is where investment portfolio must be.
How many teachers are out here unemployed?
We have over 160,000 currently.
Divide 160, divide that roughly by 22,000 schools, right? Yes. Is it 22,000 schools? Each will get an additional 3 teachers.
Yes.
3 plus 2, you're lucky you have 2. There are schools that have 1. Because there were 30,000 and then 22,000 schools. So you were lucky, you're among that got extra. So if you divide that, it's an extra. So 5 is a good number.
If we give us his school another extra 3 teachers.
3 teachers, yes.
That is the basic minimum that CBC grade 7 requires.
Yes, true.
Then we can now supplement with other colleagues who are already coming from primary and who are already enlisted here. And then we will be home and dry. The fear of engaging the human resource component through proper investment is what is going to derail the CBC rollout and its implementation.
Why do you think, from your mind, that education is not prioritized? Is it only this time? Because I know you have been in teachers' politics for a while. Why do you think education in this country, especially education financing, is not prioritized? I'm coming to you, Mwalimu. From where you sit,
Because
as a trade unionist?
the people who are supposed to give it priority have never discussed it very prominently.
But you're the people who should push for that idea to be discussed.
One thing is we have got one group, and I hope the chair of the Committee of Parliament, Brother Meli, will take this one very earnestly. We needed Parliament to prioritize and allocate sufficient funds. We need, for example, in this country, there's an institution, the Department of Roads. We have 4 institutions, parastatals dealing with, we have KERA, we have KENHA, we have KURA, and we have even Roads Board. Dealing with one institution. There is no such organization. It's only TSC which is supposed to manage teachers. And the, Ministry of Education, which has got a very broad policy role to make. And then to have somebody who talks tough at the head. And then now we are looking at this. Why don't we have somebody who is in charge of construction of schools and which will deliver to us.
As a separate department.
As a separate department. That this person is an authority which develops only schools. What would be wrong? Education is a foundation of everything that we have. It is the one which derives the economy in terms of capacity and manpower. If it is ignored by our parliament, then we will face the perils of...
Your own chairman is in parliament.
Yes, we have already told him this. We told him that you must push your brothers to ensure that education prioritized. And the priority that we require at this particular time is that we need somebody to be in charge of financing of education. Because now, quite a number of parents are very apprehensive because they are being asked to take their children to public primary schools, where there are no teachers, where there are no labs, where there are no classrooms, where there are no desks. When will we have opportunity? Remember, Ken, in 1975-76, that is the last time the government took a nationwide production or construction of laboratories. Since then, communities have been building, boards have been building their own laboratories. But if you look at the laboratories which were built in 1975-76, they are the same all over the country. A similar one is what we expect
to happen in the country.
To happen in the country.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, you know, my father was a teacher, and my mother was she's a retired teacher right now. So I know the plight of teachers. But tell me, from where you sit, do you feel as a teacher that your government does not prioritize you?
And that is what I was talking about when I talked of biting the bullet. I was meaning that there are challenges, there are big issues that the government need to bite the bullet and face the reality as it were. Because when you see a program that, as my brother is saying, it is not an accident, it is not an afterthought, it is something that was there since. And we find ourselves into such a situation, then it means something somewhere was not prioritized. So I tend to think that we really need to, because if you look at even the countries that are doing very well economically, look at the educational foundation, look at the educational structures, they are very strong. So I think that is where we are not getting it, or where the rain started beating us. That we have not, or the government has not very well prioritized matters concerning education.
Why?
I think, you know, different governments do have their own priorities. And I don't know why education has never been given the due priority that it needs. I really don't know why. Because when you look at other sectors, at least you see things are working, although not 100%. But in education, it is suffering a great blow.
Let me put it straight.
Yes.
Is this because the people who are supposed to be making decisions for schools can be able to afford private schools? They don't care about public schools. Is that the reason? I sat with the president on the 4th of January, where he told me personally that Ken, I know you are able to afford school fee for your child in a private school. So we will not prioritize you when we want to consider children to pay for school fee. We will prioritize children from the less fortunate. I think he's a beneficiary of public schools from his background.
Yes.
But what is more disturbing is if education is a foundation. Wilson Sosion one time told me there are countries with good economic backgrounds and performance, like you said, who take the cream de la cream of candidates or of performers, top performers, and they go become teachers. Here, top performers want to be doctors and lawyers. So why is it? Is it because the people who are supposed to make these decisions don't really care? Their children are in different systems of education. They can afford private schools, so they don't really care. Because I think you're going around and you're not telling us the reason, and I'll ask him the reason why that is happening.
Mujungu, you are really pushing me on the wall. The issue is that those ones who have been put to be in charge of policy making, that pertains to education, I think to some extent there is a lapse. There's something that is not up to date. And that's why it is boiling down to challenges down as we implement the new curriculum. I think people are supposed to come out boldly and vibrantly to sit down and look at to matters that affect education and have that will to go an extra mile of having that goodwill of uplifting education standards in school. Okay. And it is all about, Mejungu, it's all about resources. As much as we have, I don't want to say that CBC is a bad idea. It is quite a noble idea. But it's all about resources. It's just like if you want to build a house, a good house, a flamboyant house, how much you have a very good plan, a very decent plan.
If you don't have the resources,
you don't have resources, it is vanity, you know.
Okay.
It is vanity.
SJ, if you're given an opportunity, I know the train has left the station, but if you're given an opportunity, would you rethink the whole CBC idea?
I want to rethink the whole CBC idea. What I would say that people must make decisions based on what can work. That is what I would say. We must make decisions on what can work. For example, like now, what I would be saying is that with this 1 term wasted or 1 month wasted, we can still prepare to have these learners go to secondary schools, because the classrooms which were built have not been used. That is one. The second point, which is very, very important, is just to ask government to make a commitment and ensure that primary schools which have domiciled these learners are properly equipped. First, with human resource, we can still employ another extra 60,000 teachers. These 60,000 teachers will go a long way to establish a very strong foundation there.
You're just asking for half?
Just
not whole?
Not whole. 60,000, let them be posted there. And then we progressively plan on how to equip these primary schools, ones with laboratories and other equipment. That is what will work. But to go the way we are going without any investment, then I think to rethink otherwise will be more disastrous, because, you know, we have had PP1, PP2, grade 1 up to grade 7 now. Basically 9 years. And therefore, what my brother is saying, it is not an accident. We thought we ought to have done well. And for somebody to come with an excuse, that was a program of another government, is to be very apologetic on facing the realities of the day. We have the resources at our disposal, which we can commit. As teachers, we must be retooled. The ones who are in the field must be retooled properly to take over and ensure that this succeeds. The advantage of this curriculum are immense, because we are in the 21st century where everybody is not looking for employment, but creating employment. The previous system cannot create employment. can only be job seekers. In this regard, we are already having an excited group that is out to get us out of the doldrum. What Brother Sosion told you is true. A country like China or even Japan, for example, those who have the best brains have their first landing in education as teachers. Then they are followed by other people who want to be engineers, doctors, and so on. In our country, we are grappling with whether somebody with a C can teach grade 6, a C in KCSE. You know, that is something which is bringing us to a doubtful environment that we don't have confidence in our teachers because their entry requirement is too low. That is what we must stop by looking at this aspect very seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mwalimu, is it really true that parents from your schools have been asking the teachers to take their kids to class 8 and to avoid the junior school to sort out this problem?
Of course, and to say it is true, there are some parents who will come and request for the same. And I'm tempted to think that it is because of the many challenges, the challenges they see pertaining CBC and especially that is CBC. And you see, we are there to advise, and we have always advised them that it is not workable. The government has put in place some mechanism, and it can't just work because these are two different systems, two different curriculum. So if you take a child who has been all along undergoing, taking CBC lessons to 844, you will get it rough.
Okay.
Because these are two different things. The mode of evaluation is different. The approaches are different and what have you.
So you don't agree to it?
So I really don't.
No, but generally, because they say 300,000 CBC students disappeared from somewhere or from nowhere. They just disappeared, which means they can't be accounted for in the current curriculum. It means 300,000 transition to class 8.
There's a possibility that that one might have happened, although I don't have, I cannot prove and beyond any reasonable doubt.
These are figures that were given by the ministry.
It is very true.
Yes.
That there are some who have not, that we cannot really locate exactly where they are because they are not in school, and we cannot ascertain that they are in class 8. But it's true that those ones who sat for KPSEA, they have not transited to junior secondary school, grade 7. So there is a possibility that they might have crossed. You never know, and especially with private schools, can take such. And I think it's because of the labs that we have had.
Okay.
In the education sector.
Okay. Now we have a few minutes to talk about this. So I want solutions because parents are watching, students are pupils are watching, and of course the government is watching. What will be the solution as at this point, SG? How do we proceed? I know you've given us a rough idea on what you think should happen, but we are faced with a problem currently. What would be the solution? Poor planning, not availing resources, izo zote ziko. But from where you sit, if you had the opportunity to state one solution for this, what would it be?
I want to say what I had given the Presidential Working Party working on the education reforms. We did indicate to them that in an event that they were not ready to transit to secondary school, they were supposed to remodel the curriculum of grade 7 to be a primary school curriculum, so that we have a whole year waiting for a transition to junior secondary to be in class 8, grade 8. That one was one thing. But as things stand, because that one also will require a lot of discussion, the cheapest way out is to ensure that we staff primary schools.
Okay.
With the requisite manpower. who are also not going to be far-fetched. They are available. The teachers who are going to teach the sciences, the humanities, and all that it takes to come and teach these 14 learning areas. It would be at all order to insist that we rationalize the teaching of grade 7 by the existing personnel in the primary schools. Because as it were, perhaps Olkejuado Primary School is blessed because they got two, and maybe they have more teachers. They don't have the kind of staffing norms in other primary schools. I seem to know, Brother Ken, even where you come from, and I taught there too.
I know.
If you look at Osogo Primary, for example, you may realize that Osogo, prior to this, had a deficit of maybe 4 teachers, primary school. Now, if they were added 1, then they still have roughly about 4 teachers deficit. And with grade 7, and now notwithstanding the capacity of those teachers who are already there, it is becoming a difficult thing. It is not different from the primary school where I come from, because, for example, you mentioned Kadika Primary School and you mentioned Kadika Girls. I want to mention one school, Migori Primary School.
Yes.
It had about 270 grade 6 who have transitioned to grade 7. How do you expect they may have gotten only 2 teachers or 1? How do you expect the existing capacity of the teachers there to handle that number? So we have got a real issue. But if they were allowed to go to the secondary schools which they had selected, then you realize that some of them would have gone to Migori Primary Secondary School, Township Secondary School, Kadika Girls, some of them to Onyalo, and so on. So those are things which are practical. And you know, that one is also within the vicinity, even if they were going to be day scholars. But the people who conducted this and presented this to the president mainly used what we call opinion poll. I would just say opinion poll. How do you use opinion poll? Opinion poll, because they said as how many people are for these people to be in secondary school? By acclamation. By acclamation. And that is what what carried the day. So, and then they shamelessly looked at the age of the learners, that we have a problem. Some of them are not yet circumcised, they are going to join. Who has raised this problem before in this country? You know, we looked at this, and then finally we looked at political expediency, where we chose the softer option of it all, because there were already existing classes in all primary schools. That's what we took. So that is what we took. So we are now discussing it higher levels, including Parliament, and saying, let us rethink. Rethink what? Some people think you can take learning to be a piece of material like this or a phone. You remove it here and then place it here. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. This is education, and it requires a lot of thought. Okay. And this is what we did not do. We must employ sufficient number of teachers. I like the learning can take place under tree. I learned in class 1 up to 4 under tree, and I'm here. That's why you chose me to be here. So it can still take place. Some of the demonstration lessons can take place under trees, if the teacher is there. But without the teachers, it can't work. It can't work. It can't, and it won't work. So I like your stand. Your stand and his stand is employ teachers. Employ teachers. Employ teachers. Yes. And this is the nearest answer to this. Yes. And unless there's another method that you think we can sort out this at the same time. Because perhaps you tell us, let's mingle them with the current class. I don't know. I don't know the solution. I'm not the expert.
I think my brother Misori is putting it very right. That you see, first priority is supposed to be given to teachers, ensuring that schools are very well staffed. With a school with the teachers, teachers are creative, and we have been taught how to use the available resources. We are creative. We can improvise and what have you. Like as we speak, we don't have enough textbooks. Like in my school, what has been supplied is only 5 textbooks against the 14. That's 5 lessons. But you see, with the teachers, teachers are creative enough. They look for notes. in the internet and what have you. They prepare notes. So with a teacher, learning can go on. But without a teacher with the textbooks, I'm telling you, learning cannot take place.
Without the teachers?
Yes,
and the students can't utilize it?
So the medicine here and the password, as I can put it in quotes, is having enough human resource in schools. That is the way to go.
So, if I get you right, you're not even saying as a teacher, let's rethink. He says we can't. The train left the station. Let's not rethink CBC. Just equip it,
Yes.
human resource.
It is
And this is
about-
going to work. And hearing this from someone who works with students every single day,
Yes.
practically,
Yes.
who teaches, who interacts with them every single day,
Yes.
I think it's more sound than a committee, a tribunal, what do we call the working party, sitting in an office and trying to get ideas.
Yes.
I think did you as a teacher have an opportunity to present and think and tell the working party what you thought about CBC?
I think, Mijungu, you have reminded me of a very important point that is also culminating to the issues that we are facing in our schools. It is involving people who are on the ground. Teachers, and I want to say, and I'm sorry to say this, that a number of times teachers have been left aside, and especially when matters concerning education or policy making is concerned. And some of these policies, you find that they are not in touch with the reality on the ground. So sometimes you find that we don't get it right because people who are supposed to vanish with the various stakeholders with the facts on the ground are not consulted, and that's why we go astray.
Yeah.
Then pertaining maybe a rethinking of maybe looking back to CBC and maybe going to another maybe system, going back to 844. I want to say that one it will not work.
It cannot work.
It cannot work because we have already, as you said, the train has already left the station. And sometimes these are challenges that can be solved. I don't want to call them problems. These are the challenges.
And I like how the two of you have looked at the challenges
Yes.
and simplified it
Yes.
into what is needed.
Yes.
And what I like again is coming from the expert.
Yes.
Who should we listen to? Who can we listen to? Anyway, we are ending the show in a few. Let's play the video of the week. Then we come back and finish this. Here is the video of the week. Grandfather of Nigerian politics. He is the front of the Standard. I see his picture there. But before I show you what's in the Standard, end the show for us with your antidote for this as someone who is a practicing teacher, who is in the trade union, and obviously you've dealt with policymakers. In 1 minute, what would you say tonight about the problem of junior secondary school and sorting it in a nutshell? Teachers, teachers, teachers.
We have to cure. I am against the people who are talking about rethink. Let us equip.
Like the majority whip, Silvanus Osoro, who's my
the
friend.
majority whip, I think, is out of step because he's using the privileges in parliament to now teach Kenyans what they know best. Kenyans want education and education for the posterity. We have already moved on. It is not going to waste the chances of the learners, but it is going to waste the generation of education, the generation of current learners in schools. Therefore, what is required is basically let us come up and facilitate the schools through employment of teachers. In fact, we have the 3 T's. Teacher, teacher, teacher. Only.
Okay.
Yes.
Laban Mosi, my friend, says this, and this is to you, because in 30 seconds I need to look at the newspaper. Tell the two gentlemen CBC is too hard for our children. How can my 8-year-old son in grade 4 be taught about the digestive system? CBC is too hard for these students. Anyway, in 1 minute, answer Laban.
I think I want to confirm that indeed we have challenges here and there, and especially as far as the complexity of the CBC content is concerned. But you see, we are not born knowing everything. It is through classes that we learn these things, and we get to know them.
Okay.
We cannot, people fear of the unknown. They tend to have, they develop what you call phobia of the unknown.
Okay.
But these are things that can work, you learn. We have even gotten children operating this smartphone, something very technical. Yeah. So if a child can handle a smartphone and go to this other, why not digestive
system? Why can they digestive system? So, all right. Gentlemen, we've run out of time. I need to sell the newspaper a little bit tonight. And looking at the headlines, everyone has a newspaper. More tax paying as good prices shoot up again. Already reeling under the effects of high cost of living, Kenyans will have to dig even deeper in their pockets as price rises with implementation of the new tax measures, among them beer, soft drinks, and beauty products. Akelo Misori, that headline, as a common mwananchi, more taxes, just briefly.
We are not going to expect to live cheaply. It is dangerous to ask Kenyans to pay more when at this particular time when there is a lot of drought. Mm-hmm. What I expected was very serious incentives to those who cannot afford. Okay. But of course, when they tax the beer and all others, these are luxury products. Therefore, there is no apology to make.
What's our tax? In 30 seconds, the headline?
Yes, more tax paying as goods prices. I want to say that we are living in hard times. And where I come from, that is in Kajiado, people are passing through, they're undergoing tremendous challenges. Rain we have never experienced rain for around a year and something now. Mm-hmm. And we are having it tough, I'm telling you. And it has also affected enrollment of children in our schools in Kajiado.
Parents don't have money to take
You saw there was something that was highlighted, I don't know in which media, and some parents were following their children to school, at least to get a plate, to share a plate. You see, things are terrible. So I want to believe that something is supposed to be done so as to cushion the citizens who are already overburdened by the taxes, at least yes.
I agree with Misori. Beer, soft drinks, and beauty products is okay. So the headline of the Bold newspaper, you grab your copy of the Bold newspaper tomorrow, is as goods prices shoot up again. Obviously, you'll be paying 3 shillings per stamp, up from 1 shilling and 5 cents. You'll be paying 0.5 per stamp. New duty on bottle or sanitary package. Similarly, packaged water, 5 shillings per stamp. For wines and spirits exceeding 10%, also applies to tobacco products and their substitute. And Akelo is on point in this. 9.2% in the month of February, up from 9% in January, according to the data by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. And of course, 2.2 shillings per stamp, up from 0.6 for fruits and vegetable juice, hapo tumeumia, other non-alcoholic beverage. And finally, 2 shillings and 50 cents per stamp, up from 6 cents for non-alcoholic beverage. And that's the headline. And the other interesting headline tonight is Godfather of Nigerian politics takes the helm. Bola Tinubu Ahmed arrives at a polling station before casting their ballot. That was our video of the week. Please grab a copy of your standard newspaper, because only the bold speak the truth. Thank you so much for watching News Hour tonight. We'll do this again next week, same place, same time. Akelo Misori, asante sana. Walimu Peter na Masaka, asante sana. And all the best. The discussion on CBC continues. Hope to see you gentlemen again. On behalf of the whole team, our sign language interpreter earlier on, Victor Maina, have a good night. God bless. We do this again when we have an opportunity. I'm back tomorrow night, right here on KTN Prime.